Hello, everyone.
What's up?
This is the Pear podcast. What episode are we on now?
21.
21. Wow.
That's right.
This is getting a bit excessive, I think.
Yeah, end it now.
No, we won't end it. But, hey, guys, thanks for listening. We're going to jump right in here. We have a special guest today.
We do.
Our buddy Matt. Matt, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for joining us. We do appreciate it so much.
Part of our gang, part of our group.
Yep.
Appreciate y'all having me.
Of
Yeah,
course.
definitely. It's been a minute since we had a guest, too, so it's exciting.
It has. We don't know how to act at this point. But, yeah, Matt, we've got a series of questions here, so we'll jump right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm originally from California. Moved to Georgia in elementary school. My mom grew up here, so I claim myself as an Atlantean.
Okay.
Pretty much born and raised, well, not born, but raised here. Kind of newer to the North Georgia area. Came up here for work back in like 2012 and been here ever since. Love it. Have a family, got kids and a couple animals, and just enjoying it out here.
Just a couple, Matt. We've seen your living room or your room where we came
Just
to play.
a couple animals,
just a couple.
nothing too crazy.
Just 3 horses, 4 dogs, a cat, 2 children. They can be considered.
Yeah, definitely so.
That's good. That's cool. So what is your favorite Pokemon? What have you came up with for this?
This was a hard question for me. I'm partial to, the Kanto Pokemon. I started my Pokemon journey in Red and Blue. So they always have a special place in my heart. But I think, my favorite now, and I have to say I've been influenced by my son, but I have to go with Dragapult. Not Dragapult, Dragonite.
Dragonite, yes.
Also, when you said your son, I know what your son likes to collect. So I was like, I haven't seen his Dragapult collection. I know I've seen his Dragonite collection.
Very nice, very
my
nice.
bad.
That's a good one.
You just have Dragapult on the brain with what's going around.
I do.
In the meta.
Wait, me?
No, Matt. When you said
Matt?
Dragapult.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's hard to avoid.
It is. So I think I already know the answer to this question, but we ask everyone we have on here, do you consider yourself a casual or competitive player, and why?
I think I consider myself a competitive player. I don't like to lose, and I don't like to do anything kind of halfway. I'm like all or nothing, so it's hard for me to just play casually, although, I like to have fun, and I think that's like a trait for casual, is like just having fun, enjoying the social aspect of it, and I enjoy that too, but I definitely am there to win.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. I'm with you on that.
I know some people that don't like to lose as well.
That would be me. I'm raising my hand.
Your
right now.
people?
That's me. Hello, over here. Okay, awesome. So this is a very difficult question, but an important one. How's Pokemon made an impact on your life? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I kind of alluded to it earlier, but it's been in my life for a long time. Like I said, I started early on in Red and Blue. I had a really close friend of mine who had an older brother, and his older brother's best friend was a guy who his dad worked for Hitachi in Atlanta, but they were straight expats from Japan, and so he knew about Pokemon before it ever came to America, and they kind of influenced us and brought it to us, and so I got in like right when it launched, and ironically, my birthday is Pokemon Day.
Yes, it is,
because it's the same time of the launch, and so I got into it, playing the Game Boy games. I was around when the card game first released. At the time, I had already been interested in TCGs. I played Magic with that same group of friends. And so when the card game came out, naturally, we would buy cards and collect. Well, we played a little bit at the YMCA and places here and there, but never really got like fully into playing the card game. And now, fast forward like 30 years, not quite 30, but a long time, right? 25 probably years. Um, and I have a son. He's 8 years old, and he's kind of interested in Pokemon. Pokemon, I think, started to make a resurgence again in like 2020, 2019. And so he started wanting to collect the cards. And as soon as he got into it, I like dove head first back into it, and we started collecting together, started playing the game, and then started going to locals here. That's where we met you guys. And for me, it's given me something that I can do with him that hopefully he remembers when he's my age, and just kind of gives us an opportunity to bond on something. It's something I didn't really have with my dad, who is, God bless him, and I love him to death, but he was always working to provide for the family, and there was not much time left for, spending time together. And so this is my way of being able to spend time and bond with Bennett over stuff.
Somebody cutting the
I love
hens around here?
that. I love that. That's awesome.
It is. It is, though. Well, maybe I'm curious. I'm trying to, when you were talking about that and talking about coming to locals, like, I can't remember a time that we were playing that you weren't there, so I'm kind of curious what led you to just like, oh, we're going to, because I always like that. Like, I have a buddy that I'm like, hey, you should go to a card shop. I was like, I can't just walk in there. Like, what was that experience of like, you know what, Bennett, we're going to go to this card shop and we're going to play in a tournament here. How'd that go?
Yeah, so I was already familiar with one-up games, just living locally and working in Calhoun. And I actually first visited the store when they were in the old location, and I don't think they had very much TCG at the time. So I knew about them for a while, and when we were already collecting, buying cards, and Bennett said he wanted to play, I actually had Sarah, my wife. She went with Bennett and Tilly to One Up, and they purchased some of the Battle League decks. And I think they were the ones talking to, I don't know who was working, if it was, Kyle or Omar or, Dakota. I don't know who was there at the time, but they were telling her about the Sunday League. And so, we played a little bit at home just to make sure we were, with the rules and all of that, and had a little bit of practice. And then we showed up one day, and we've been regulars ever since.
That's all she
I
wrote.
will say, yeah, it was new, just kind of learning, the standard format and how to know which block we were in and what cards were really competitive at the time. I remember like the first weekend we went, we were told about limitless TCG and, to check out meta decks and this and that. And I think at the time I was determined to like, I don't know, outsmart the meta and like home brew something. And then I just was getting my butt whooped week after week. And finally I was like, all right, I gotta try something at least within the meta game.
I think I vaguely remember you asking about limitless TCG one day. And I was like, oh, yeah. So, wow.
I'll never forget just getting my butt whooped week after week, match after match against Mew Genesect.
Do you remember?
Was that me?
Homebrew decks?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now look at us now. You're whooping my butt now.
Do you remember one of your homebrew decks? I think that's something too. Like somebody new coming in that's just played, say, at home or whatnot, doesn't know like the scene. And you walk in with your, I don't know, your Onyx deck or something. I mean, I know kids still now do that a lot of times, but like,
yeah.
Do you remember what it is?
Yeah, so the league deck I got was the Shadow Rider Calyrex deck.
I remember that. Yep. I do remember that.
Now.
So then I took that and kind of modified it to run the Soul Rock engine.
With the Lunatone?
Yeah, the Soul Rock
Yes.
Lunatone. And then I teched in the Lightning Terra Mewtwo that allows you to hit for however many psychic energies you have attached to all your Pokemon.
Yep.
So I was using the Soul Rock and the Lunatone to and the Calyrex. That's kind of like the draw / attach energy acceleration.
Right.
And then just attacking with the Mewtwo.
Yeah, I think it was called like Transfer Charge or something like that.
Yeah. It was a good deck, I thought. I still think it was fun to play. But you need so much energy to take out a Charizard. And that was the BDIF at the time.
Yeah. I'll say that time. It's weird to think, like, when you're talking about Ice Rider or Shadow Rider Calyrex, I was like, and then you said Terra, I was like, oh shoot, I forgot those were in the same meta at the same time, or same format
for a little bit.
It's crazy.
It's interesting because Terra types have been in the meta for a while, but they haven't really been super relevant in terms of like any special Terra focus cards until more recently.
Yeah, now they're all the rage. Like, although I still think the whole Terra ability is kind of weird. They could have done something cool with it, but you know, Bench Barrier is cool. But now it's like every deck's almost a Terra deck.
Right.
Right? Yeah, for the most part.
For the most part, yeah.
Well, I don't know. Charizard just reigned for so long. As a Terra. Charizard's reign. Sweet.
And it
Oh, go ahead.
still meta relevant, I was going to say.
Oh yeah, absolutely is. Alrighty. Well, sweet. Thank you for telling us about your map.
Go ahead.
Are we ready now on to move on to a question of the week?
Question of the week. Hit us with it.
Alrighty, I'm going to ask you. You're going to answer first. Right?
Oh, okay. All right, gotcha.
What has been the most memorable moment for you in your Pokemon TCG journey?
There's so many things, but I feel like it was just, you know, the friends that we've made thus far, you know, like Matt on the other end here, and you know, our whole friend group. We met them through Pokemon TCG, and like just navigating our deck lists and everything, and it's just been great. I like it.
I should have went first. I was already thinking.
You were
about
thinking
that.
that?
Yeah.
Oh, I stole it. Sorry. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, Matt. What do you think? While I think of another
Okay,
answer.
Matt, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, this is a tough one because there's just so much, and you know, we play together, you know, once a week, sometimes more. So there's so many moments, right? Just thinking about like recently, you know, you guys laugh at me, and we had a judge incident, right? I don't know how much detail you want me to go into with that particular moment, but there was another kid playing, and I had like my dad instincts kind of kick into overdrive, where I felt like someone was, you know, kind of picking on my child, another child, and like I felt the need to intervene, and I think that will stick out to me because it just reminds me of like, no matter how like cool and calm I can be, when someone is like threatening my family,
Yeah.
you know, the natural instinct kicks in.
Yeah, that is definitely a different thing you have compared to anybody, I think, really, in the friend group. Nobody else has a kid that plays along with them. Some of them have kids, but I don't think any of them bring any. So you've got that different other outlook or aspect that you also have to carry on yourself as well, which is interesting compared to all of us. Like, we're just there memeing around, goofing off, and you also have to, like, switch on and off between dad mode when something like that.
You have to be a parent.
Yeah.
We don't. But no, it's awesome.
I also, you know, just thinking about like memorable moments, definitely the first time like I made top cut at a cup locally was pretty memorable, and hoping, you know, to carry on and have some pretty memorable moments this weekend.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I was just getting ready to say that. First regional, we'll talk about that a little later, but what about you, baby? What do you think?
Okay, so a big memorable moment is I have to still piggyback off of you. I do like the fact of the friend group that we've made, me and you, as a couple going to a place and like having mutual friends between both of us. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure sure Matt might be cooler with you more than me, but it's still cool that we're both friends. I'm just kidding, Matt.
Don't tell him that. It's fine.
I think it's cool that to have a group of friends that accept both of us.
Yeah.
And how we are, because I know you're a handful. I'm a handful, so had to add that extra
To
part
say
on
the
there.
least.
Other than that, I guess like another like good moment I feel like I've had that I ain't forgot is more recent is and I kind of piggyback off how Matt said like a good win of his own good win, and for me was when I made a top cut for that prismatic ETB case whatever tournament was whatever it
It
was.
was a ETB case. Or not case, but box. Whatever.
Yeah, getting top cut to that, I think that was my first time actually making a top cut in a big tournament.
Yeah.
That felt really good, especially on the Dawn. And I mean, I hate to say it, I played another player that's a really good Dawn player and beating him. I was like, ooh, that gave me the
Hey, Jalen.
hey Jalen, yeah, that gave me the like, ooh. If you listen out there, Jalen, that felt real good to get that dub. And yeah, just making a top cut for that, I felt real good. I don't remember if I was the only one in the friend group made it, but it was real nice to see everybody like as I was sitting there playing that first top cut game to look up and see everybody like cheering you on from like the what is it when they say like the home team or whatever, the whole like a homie of the only one in the group that made it and everybody sitting there cheering you on. That was a real cool moment for me. I was locked in though.
You were locked in.
I was trying to not like break any face when I look up and I see all y'all like looking over at me. I'm like, oh god, focus. That's definitely probably for me.
That's cool. All right, that is your question of the week. Let's talk about how our week went. We went to locals Thursday and Sunday this week.
Getting a lot of practice in.
Yep, a lot of practicing for the regional. Thursday, though, let's talk about myself first. I went 2-1. Round one, I played a wall deck and won.
What was you playing?
I was playing Goldango Dragapult.
There you go.
Round two, I played Dragapult and lost. And then round three, Terrabox and won against that. Matt, what did you play and how'd your record go Thursday?
I went 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I played Terrabox round 1, lost. Played Dragapult in round 2 and won, and then played Dragapult in round 3 and lost. And that one was a very winnable game. I made a pretty critical misplay towards the end, and it ultimately cost me that second W.
Yeah. So both of y'all played, lost in some Dragapults. What versions of Dragapults was it? Because that's a big thing right now. Is Dragapults kind of has I think a couple at least off my head. I think of either you're playing it with the Dustinors or you're playing it with the Dango like you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all remember what versions was more popular in the room that y'all lost to?
I think mine was Dragapult Dustnor.
Yeah.
Both my matchups were Dragapult Dustnor.
I
don't know the list extremely well, but both had, the Badoo
Mm-hmm.
Dustnor.
Right. I got you.
What about you? How did your
About me?
Thursday go?
I gotta look right here. I went 2-1.
Okay.
I was on my Archidon build with the hops, dub wool in it. The list I've been cooking up.
Mm-hmm.
Round one, I hit Dragapult, and it was the Dragapult Dustnor version, and won that game. Round two, I hit my brother on Terrabox. Felt good to beat him. Not
Easy
gonna lie.
dub.
And then round three, I hit our buddy Mikey on dang old Dango. It's just, I had that matchup. It's just
It's
too,
difficult.
yeah, two big meaty metal guys. Just yeah. Unfortunately, I lost that one to him, but it's always fun playing him, and I got my vengeance later. We'll talk about that soon. All right, that's Thursday.
Yeah, let's talk about Sunday now. Sunday we were at 1-Up Games for locals. I went 2-2 with same list. Round one I played Goldango and lost. Played Dragapult Dango, almost an identical 60 to myself, lost that game. Played Raging Bolt round 3-1, and then a interesting Terapicos build your brother had. Won against that. Those Bouffalants are a pain.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the point. From when I was talking to him about it, it's like it's almost supposed to be countering the Terapagos deck, or the Terrabox deck, I mean. Mm-hmm. And having those Bouffalants give that Terapagos, he called it like a turtle tank deck, or Terapagos tank, because he makes a real beefy Terapagos.
Yeah.
Honestly. But you got the dub on him, right?
I did. I got the dub on him.
Nice. How about you, Matt? How'd your Sunday go?
My Sunday went way better than my Thursday. I don't think I told you what I played on Thursday. I was on the Raging Bolt. I played Raging Bolt on Thursday, but I played the Hoot Hoot Knocked Owl Raging Bolt list. And I modified it after a bad Thursday. And I modified it for Sunday to just like a classic Raging Bolt without the Hoot Hoot Knocked Owl. Mm-hmm. I'll call it Turbo Raging Bolt. Mm-hmm. And I went 3-1 on Sunday.
Nice.
Got 4th overall for our league day. Round 1, I played against a weird Tinkaton deck. New person, new face. Hadn't seen him in locals. I think he's relatively new. Just based off of the deck list he was playing. And then round 2, played against the Poison Archlidon build. Pretty hard against that deck, and was never really able to start. Then round 3, played the turtle deck your brother was playing, got the W there. And then round 4, I played against the Hops double.
Yeah.
Dawn.
Yeah.
Got the W there.
That was a close game. It was. We were
had
splitting.
A very, very interesting game. Did not go either way those decks are designed to go, but it was fun.
Not a bit, yeah. By like turn 4, we still hadn't had anything done.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. It was a lot. It was a rough one. I was trying everything to squeeze that dub out.
I think I had to pop the hyper blower on the iron bundle just to make room for my first Raging Bolt.
Yeah.
It was like turn 7.
Yeah, I remember asking, I was like, because you had that cornerstone, I was like, Matt, is this a Bolt deck? Well, I thought you told me you were playing Bolt. I don't see one yet. Well, congrats, 4th place. That's awesome. Never hurts to get a little store credit.
That's true.
So for me, I went 2-1-1 on the Archlidon. No changes to it, just the same Hops Archlidon. And round 1, I hit Terrabox. Feel like I have a decent match. Not, I won't say decent, but I think if things go well, I can play into it really well. And that was a good game. And then round 2, hit Terrabox again, and we tied. Yeah. The guy was new to the deck, so he was taking a little bit longer on his turn. So I think if we would have actually got to play it out, I probably would have got the dub. But the way time went into, time ended on me. So I really didn't get the chance to get the 2 extra turns, like if it would have ended on him. But took the tie there. Round 3. Oh, yeah, this is where I had the rematch with Mikey on Goldango. Mm-hmm. And sat down, and he flipped over Fez, and I had a beautiful hand to get I won the die roll going first. Set up on our Duraludon. Got plenty of energy in the discard. Had a Carmine. It was beautiful. He had his Fez on his turn. He looked at his hand and said pass. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. And I got my revenge, and we donked him. That felt great. Sorry, Mikey, if you're out there listening. It did feel great. I'm sure it'll come back to me at some point. And then, round 4, I hit Matt over here on dang Raging Bolt. Had to take that loss right there. I tried everything, but couldn't get it done. So 2-1-1 to finish out for me on Sunday.
Okay. Not too shabby.
Not at all.
All right. We're at the main topic, finally.
Main topic for the episode. Hit me with it.
We've got some really exciting things going on this weekend. One of them being the first Atlanta regional since 2011.
Nice.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be.
There's over 3,000 people registered, by the way.
It's gonna be insane.
Yeah, very very packed house. But one of the we want to talk about a few things going into the regional that we'll kind of discuss.
That's why we have Matt on here. So me and you've been to how many now? It's our fifth one.
I think this is our sixth.
No, we were just looking at our list the list the other day from press. I don't remember pulling up 4 deck list.
Okay, so we have.
So this is our fifth one.
Yeah. Okay.
First one, I think, this season, right?
Yes.
I think so.
It is actually.
Yeah, this season is our first one.
Okay.
Because the last one was Orlando, which would have been, I think, last season. I don't know. I get mixed up.
Louisville was the last one.
Louisville was, yeah, okay. That might have been this season then.
Maybe, I don't know.
I can't keep up. Anyways, I don't want to say we're experienced by any means, but we want to have Matt on here and talk with somebody as they're preparing and getting ready for their first regional, correct, Matt?
Yes, this will be a first.
You excited?
Oh yeah, I'm excited, nervous. Not sure if I'm focused enough, if I'm ready or not. But we're gonna have fun.
That's right. Get ready for a lot of Pokemon.
A lot of Pokemon.
Curiosity question, Matt, because we had one on our first regional we went to. Hypothetically, I'm just curious how your thought process is. Say you get in there, and the day doesn't turn out the greatest. Do you plan to finish all 8 or 9 rounds?
8 rounds.
Is it 8 rounds?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I mean, generally, like even when I know it's not the same when we've played in cups. 8 rounds, best 2 out of 3 is way different than 6 rounds of best of 1. I know there's a difference, but typically I try to play it out even if I don't perform the way that I want to, just to get that added experience.
Definitely.
And I think for a regional especially, I'll do the same.
Good. I think so. If we could give any from the 4 regionals we've been to advice, because our first regional, we kind of went in there gun-ho, like, oh, we're day 2 it, let's knock this out. And then we both had pretty rough records, and I think we dropped at round,
4 or 5,
somewhere around there. And we kind of regret that. We've since then continued to play, I think, almost all regionals all the way through, if I'm not mistaken. Because kind of regret it after that you had our bubble burst a little bit of like, okay, maybe we're not the all bee's knees as we thought,
Right. It's definitely a humbling experience.
Exactly, yeah. I was like, okay, so I still wish we could have gone back and just played it out the rest of the way, just to get that more experience more. Now that we're, our 4th regional in, it's like, okay, we kind of know what to expect a little bit, how it goes. Again, not calling us seasoned veterans by any means, but, now that we've been to a few, it's kind of like, okay, we know we want to play it out, see how it goes, get more practice, get more... Because, it's a big difference from, like, locals of 12 people, 13 people in a room versus playing in a room where you look to the right and you look to the left and you see hundreds of people playing the card game you're playing. And that kind of, like, pressure and experience, you don't get to do that too often.
Right.
So, Matt, we got on here. What kind of preparations have you been making or are you looking to make towards this weekend?
So, as soon as they announced Atlanta, I kind of set my sight on rotation. Mm-hmm. And so even then, like, I don't think I've played really a pre-rotation list in probably 2 months. I think I played for one cup, a Dragapult list that had Temple of Sinnoh in it. And other than that, the rest... the 59 other cards were all post-rotation eligible cards. So I've been kind of like mentally prepared, I guess, from that standpoint of, all right, all this pre-rotation stuff is irrelevant. I'm just going to worry and play cards that are going to be relevant in the next meta. So I've been doing that for, I don't know, they announced Atlanta, a month and a half, 2 months ago, maybe. And then more recently, the difficult thing has been trying to lock in on what I want to play. I look at Limitless way too much, I think, on, what's going on in city leagues, what's I don't check online tournaments as much. I have been, in the last week or two, just to get a better idea, as the U.S. has um, been on post rotation
Yeah.
on TCG Live. So been checking that more recently just to see what's performing. And then, I've tested a bunch of different decks, and my struggle has been deciding what the heck am I going to play Saturday.
Still?
I mean, I'm like 95% that I'm going to play what I've been playing most recently, but I don't know. There's still that like 5% chance that I could go to sleep Thursday night, wake up Friday morning and say, you know what? I'm feeling Goldango or something,
Yeah. I'm kind of skipping around here, but do you want to share with our listeners what you're thinking about playing?
I think I'm like leaning pretty heavily towards the Turbo Raging Bolt deck
Okay.
that I played. Raging Bolt in general this season has gotten me to top cut at 2 cups with very little practice on those decks. Like, I wasn't playing them at locals. I just showed up for cups with a 60 and was able to do well with it. So it is a deck that I feel comfortable with, and I have a lot more seat time on that than some of the other possible decks that I could go into Atlanta with.
Yeah, it's definitely like a comfortability, something you're comfortable, something the cards, what all 60 cards you're playing, kind of the moves you got to make. It definitely can help versus something you just pick up within a week or two. Surely, which I don't know. You said, who knows? Thursday you could switch to Goldango. Surely you wouldn't switch to something you don't have any absolute idea how to play or
No,
what's in the deck. But
it won't be Terra Box, I can tell you.
right. Deck's too big brain to pick up immediately and start trying to be successful with it. I guess in my eyes, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree.
What perversions have you made?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, I'm locked in.
You're locked in. You've been locked in for
No,
3 months. With
I'm
what deck
honestly
you're playing.
thinking about my snacks choices now. No, but for real, it's 8 hours, and I'm gonna need to bring like a banana, some fruit snacks.
We brought beef jerky before.
I'm not bringing that. It's gonna make your bag stink.
It did last time. Yeah, good point.
But Pop Tarts, that kind of something with protein in it, so I can power through the day. And definitely gonna have my G Fuel that morning and ready to go. But yeah, it's no secret I've been playing this deck for almost a year.
Which is crazy to me.
It's Matt, I don't know if you know, but I have been playing this deck for almost a year. I brought it to the last regional we went to. And everybody thought I was crazy, and I got the craziest looks like Goldango Dragapult. What? And now look at it. More people are playing it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I told you guys. I told you.
Definitely.
It is wild to think that it's been that long. I remember when you first brought it to locals. It was a long time ago. I didn't realize you took it to Louisville. But yeah, I remember even then just be like, what is the deal here?
Yeah. It was very unorthodox for sure. But now it's like not so unorthodox, and I just love seeing it more of it out there. So
absolutely.
And I got somebody converted to it, so
Was Energy Surge Pro even in the meta at that time?
No, I don't even remember. I did go back to my list and see what version I was playing. My ace spec was Sparkling Crystal at that time, so it was more of a Dragapult based deck. More Dragapult.
Less Goldango, but I think it's kind of flip flop now. When that ace spec came out, it kind of went more heavy Goldango.
Yeah, it's kind of flip flops now since the ace spec came out. But I've got some texts in there. We won't give those away, but I ain't gonna tell y'all my exact 60, but that's what we're going with. So yeah, and I've been playing a lot of TCG Live lately. Not too much because I don't like the idea of TCG Live because I feel like the shuffle is so randomized. It's better to play in person. So it's
automatic for you.
Yeah, and it doesn't make it seem like that's what I'm gonna actually get.
It's fun to play, but as far as testing, there doesn't
Yeah.
feel anything better than like sitting down in front of somebody and playing it.
Right.
Putting that human element to it, not the actual. Because if the game does it for you, your brain isn't like clicked on as much when you're actually sitting there needing to make those actual plays. Like, I have to give you credit. I've seen you like playing the wall deck a lot against the wall deck. Like,
Oh yeah,
we had
it's a
it
great
built here
matchup
the
for
other
me.
day, and like we were playing it, and you knew every line you need to make and what to attack with what, and it shows on Thursday you played a wall deck and you did really good into won that game and pretty easily, right? You felt.
Oh yeah.
So that kind of like knowing those sequencing and stuff like that, I feel like you have to practice those kind of things in person.
Yeah.
Versus being online and it automatically kind of, I don't want to say automatically does it for you, but kind of, I don't know how to say it exactly. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
Is it making any sense though?
It's making some sense.
I got you.
Yeah, there's definitely the aspect of TCG Live having all your cards, like when you deck check, all sorted and the counts for you that make it too easy.
Right.
To where, like, that's not realistic when you get into a live game scenario. Like, you have to find and count and, like, process all that information much quicker.
Right.
Without the added aid. So I definitely see where you're coming from.
Yeah, definitely. I hope I hit 7 rounds of wall Saturday. That'd be my ideal situation. Mostly wall, hopefully.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
I'd love to hit all our best matchups. That'd be great.
So what preparations have you made?
We're just playing the Dawn.
Okay.
Trying
Do
to.
you know what version yet?
We were talking about a little bit of homebrew earlier with Matt. So I don't want to say it's a homebrew because it's still Archulon, but I've definitely got some interesting different techs that I don't see. Basically, I've seen 2 different lists that I really liked, and I've merged them together to make the list I have. And
It's starting to sound like me.
Yeah, and honestly, yeah. And it's starting to, there's even more stuff, because the biggest thing I learned from this, been learning these past couple weeks, this week even, Cornerstone being so prevalent, I have to have a better out to Cornerstone. Matt mollywalked me with a Cornerstone for like 3 turns.
Cornerstone's going to be hard. You have to have a way out for that.
And so I even now have to tweak another way to deal with Cornerstone that might be in my list. And I think it's to include Hopzation into my deck.
Okay.
I was thinking about going the Scizor route, but I'm thinking the Hopzation might be the change I make. And I've already made it in the deck, so I want to get some practice in to see how I feel with that. Because he can also hit the Goldango as well, which is another kind of tough matchup, hitting the 260 number because I'm playing it with the Hop's Choice band as well, because I'm playing a heavy tool package on my Dawn list in Town Store. So if I can get a Zation out, charge it up with 1 Dawn, even attach it, and then Hop's Choice band, that can one hit a Goldango, which is something that Dawn, the specific version of Dawn I'm playing, struggles with.
Okay.
So that's the preparation I made. I'm gonna leave all snacks and stuff up to you. I'm gonna make sure we have water. Try to stay hydrated, and kind of moving to the next little question. Nerves. That's the one thing. That's one of the biggest things I struggle with. And when we get into these high situations, I don't want to say it's high situation, but like I said, you look around left and right. There's hundreds of people surrounded you playing this game. The nerves get to you. Like that's I have a very bad habit of shaking my leg or have to tap my foot or something. My palms get real sweaty. Like I have to just breathe, and I want to try to get better. It's been a little bit since we've been to our last regional, so yeah. What about you, Matt? Any nerves you have for your first regional coming up?
Yeah, I think there's always that excited nerves.
Yeah.
I used to do 5Ks and 10Ks and stuff like that, and I'd always have, no matter how much I prepared,
like running
before.
Matt?
Yeah, running.
Oh.
Yeah,
3.2 miles is a 5K. So 3.1.
Yeah,
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've done 10Ks. I think I might have done 115K.
Jeez.
I don't think I've run that in my life.
So every 4th of July, is it 4th of July? I'm pretty sure it's 4th of July. There's the Peachtree Road Race in downtown Atlanta. And I did that one year. and I did it. It's a 10K, and I did it in under an hour. So there was a point in my life where like I ran miles every day, fairly recently, like within the last 10 years. But I gave up running because I have plantar fasciitis, and it
What
just
What was your best mile before that happened?
I think on average, like 8 minutes to 750
That's good.
a mile.
You got me
But
beat.
yeah, but even like preparing and running that distance like multiple times throughout the week, the morning of a race, like there's still like those butterflies, those nerves. So I kind of expect to have that same kind of feeling going into Saturday, and hopefully after one round or in the middle of the first round, kind of settling in and just like, okay, we're here, we know we've done this before, and just play the game.
That's right.
Absolutely.
A big way to look at it that, like, I've been told before is, like, the person sitting across from you, no matter who it is, it's just a person. Doesn't matter if you're sit down, because round one, you could sit across from anybody. So, like, imagine you sit down and you're, maybe not recognize them or whatnot, but it's like a top world's player. They're just another person is the way you hit the mindset you have to have. They're just another player. Like, don't let it get to you. It's one thing that I feel like, because I've sat near. I don't say I've ever played any big people, but I've definitely sat near them. Maybe they were just having rough days. I'm like, I don't want to like fangirl, but I'm like, oh, that's LDF over there. It's crazy. And then I start getting nervous. Like, why am I nervous? He's just another guy. Like,
Just another guy.
alrighty, nerves, you baby.
I mean, I don't want to sound cocky, but like, why are you laughing?
Sorry.
I mean, I do up until they say your round one's been posted, then I'm locked in. Like, I don't really, like you said, it's just another person. Like, I played somebody that was on like a team and beat them, and then I played Jack Carter, who was on stream one day, and I mean, they're just people. I mean, he was cool. You know, didn't win, but you know, he was cool about it, and was, you know, that's all you can do is just
Do your
lock
best.
in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
I agree. Your nerves are still, and I'm over here
Nerves
like
of
shaking in
steel.
my boots.
Mm-hmm.
Good deal.
I don't know if I sit across from Andrew Hedrick, I'm gonna feel some nerves.
Really? I'm gonna be like, hey, big fan. Good luck. No, but if I get on stream or something,
Now that's a whole different story.
That's a different story.
Like, can y'all imagine? We always say that. Like, well,
It can
that'd be
happen.
insane. Yeah, it can.
You'll see that piece of paper. This match will be on stream, so it's like one of those things. I'll probably be nervous then.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
I'd be shaking. I don't think I could do it. I'd be over there just shaking the whole camera at the table.
I've seen those guys on stream that like there's so much nervous energy coming off them that it kind of makes you feel uncomfortable watching them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do my best not to be that guy.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Move on. Last thing right here for talking about Atlanta. Do we have any goals? What are our goals for this weekend? We're all going. You know, Matt, this is your first regional. What's your goals looking like?
You know, I don't want to like put goals out there that are just like so unreasonable, but like primary goal is to make day 2. I mean,
Right.
even though it's my first, like that is the goal. Now, if I can walk away with over a 50% win record, like I think I would be satisfied, or at least like be able to go back with some pride and say, all right, this is something to build on.
I definitely agree. I want to make day 2 and
yeah.
obviously have a better record than I did last regional, because I was, I think, 2 or 3 games away from making day 2, and I was like, oh, okay. So, I mean, we can do it.
Yeah,
We can do it.
absolutely. I feel like that's probably now, because, you know, if you had asked us when our first regional met, you definitely have a better head on than, you know, we were, like I said, we were gun-ho, like, oh yeah, we're
We'll
winning
make top
this.
16.
Yeah, we got this in the bag. Now, after, for a few regionals, like, can we just make a day 2? I'd feel real good if and we have the capability. That's the thing. We all know, all of us have that capability to make it. So it's just a point of, and I hate to say this, sometimes it comes to luck. Like you said, if you get over there and you have 7 rounds of wall somehow, you play really well into it. There is a lot of luck involved in Pokemon. Mm-hmm. There really is. You have to have skill and luck, I feel like. But I think that's a shared goal for most of us all, and in the group in general, is making a day 2 would be nice. Because I don't think any of us in the friend group has made a day 2. Again, we haven't been to a whole bunch of regions, not like we've been around for years, but it'd be cool to see a couple of us just say, hey, our buddy over here, Matt, first regional made day 2.
Yeah.
That'd be sick. Bennett over here crushing, no day 2, but he's got, top. Because your son's playing as well, right?
Yeah, he is. I'm gonna try not to worry about him, but like I can't help but at least leading up to it worry about how he's going to do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
At least while we're there, his mama's gonna be with him.
Good.
She'll have to worry about him. So hopefully I can stay focused and locked in on what I have to do. But that is definitely a challenge for me.
For sure.
Because honestly, I want the experience for him to be positive more so than I want to make day 2. Now I want to make day 2, but I don't want him to walk away, feeling deflated.
Yeah.
Like I want him to enjoy it, and I want it to help maybe boost his confidence a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah.
We've been around him enough. He gets a couple dubs. His confidence is going to go through the wall.
Go sky high. Oh, yeah.
He's going to get DQ'd. If that's gonna happen.
Let's hope that does not happen.
No, yeah, we ain't going to have that happen. But that does make kind of what we're talking about nerves. I could see that being different for you versus us. Like having those nerves in the back of your head is like, I hope Bennett's doing good back there.
Hope he's not getting any judge calls. Yeah. He's good. Yeah.
Definitely something different you've got versus us. But alright, anything else that we want to talk about Atlanta? Any other?
I would love to do a tier list really quickly. If we can do that. We haven't done that probably in quite a while, so.
Alrighty. It's just gonna be our opinions. Don't nobody go saying, the Pear podcast, they said Guardy was gonna be S tier, and dang it, we took Guardy because they said it. It's just our opinions, right?
Yeah.
We'll debate this and argue this and fuss this a little bit, but...
Yeah. So what deck do we want to start off with first?
Pick one. We got our tier list, tier S, tier A, B, C, D. Hopefully nothing's lower than a D.
Well, you brought up Gardevoir, so let's start with that.
All right. How we all feel about Guardy? Yeah?
Getting some results. I don't know. My initial instinct is, well, for sure it's not S tier, right?
No.
But it's got to be somewhere in that A-B range. To me,
I feel comfortable with it being an A. I think it's now it might be at the lower end of the A because I think there's other decks higher than it. But people have been having results with it, and I think it's definitely a deck not to take out of consideration. Even though they lost Curlia, they've been making ways. The refinement Curlia. They've been making waves. I've seen a lot of lists with the Brilliant Blender in it, pitching all those energies they need. What about you? Are you all right putting it at A, or you want to go lower?
I'm a Guardy hater, so I was gonna say B tier myself, high B tier.
High B? Okay.
I just don't think it has the oomph it did post or pre-rotation, so I think it's going to struggle a little bit.
I can settle with putting it at the top of B tier.
Okay.
For now. Is that cool with you, Matt?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the one thing that holds that deck back is maybe some consistency because it lost its primary source of draw.
Exactly.
But it's one of those decks, and it could get on a heater if you get the right draw. If you get some luck, I could see it making its way all the way into the top 8.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be somebody out there for sure that's just cooking with it. Feels like that's one of those decks that always just one of those high skill players.
Henry Chow, he's proved it time and time again.
Right.
He brings Guardy to all these big events and pilots it so well, so it could really shine this weekend. We never know.
We're going to have to look back at our tier list afterwards, like our next episode, and see kind of what we if how it compared to what what we say. So I'm looking over here randomly. We got Guardian top of B tier. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna pick a random one. I'm gonna go Walls.
D.
D.
I
know it.
I mean, honestly, decks like my deck, Matt's deck. There's a way to play around it.
Do you think saying it's been countered so much?
It's been countered so much. Like I don't think it's a good pick this weekend.
Yeah.
Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think it's no higher than a C. I think I've heard Daniel talk about it a lot, and it's the same point that Keisha just made. Because there was such a big fear of it when the meta kind of shifted, everyone's taking for it. There is a counter to it. So I can't really see it doing well just for that pure, simple fact. Now, if someone, has some bad luck and doesn't draw well, it's still a strong deck. It's just, if you can play it right and hit your counters, and, they've got no hope.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to. It is. I won't say it's a big brain deck, but you need to know which ones you're putting up against certain matchups.
Oh yeah, you definitely
If you're
it's
playing
a big
yourself.
brain deck. You got to think about it for sure.
So, do we want to put something in D or bottom of C here? That's where I'm feeling about right here. What do we think? You look like you're set on D.
I can compromise and go low or
Bottom
of C.
Okay, we'll put Wall in here in C, potentially near the end.
Okay.
All right.
What's next?
Matt, pick a deck. I know you have the list, but there's plenty up here still. So
we'll do Goldango.
Goldango. Me personally, I think this has got to go somewhere in A. What do y'all think? I don't know where in it, but I definitely think it's...
I think S tier.
S tier for Dango?
Yeah.
Now, this is like pure Dango,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That confident?
I think especially with the Dunsparce line, it's got everything it needs to get the cards it needs.
Man, it's got draw power for days.
Mm-hmm.
It sure does.
So I think that's going to be a big factor of that. It's gonna have all the consistency it needs to get out of any situation. So that's
Matt?
why I would say S.
Any objections?
No, I mean my instinct was A tier. I do think with the popularity of the Poison Dawn, that definitely is a much more winnable matchup for Dawn. But as far as the rest of the meta, right, I think it has a strong matchup into most everything.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. We'll put it here. Our first S tier.
Mm-hmm.
It better win this sucker. All right, I'm looking over and I see Terrabox. What we got? What we thinking?
I haven't played against it a whole lot, but I do understand that it's an extremely versatile deck.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the experts all believe it's the BDIF.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if it's truly the BDIF, like, you can't not put it in S tier, right? But yeah, I think it's got decent matchups into pretty much everything.
It does. It has a lot of counters and a lot. It's one of those, like, it's a box deck. It's supposed to play versus, like, kind of how like Walls is, where you have to know your matchups and what you're gonna do. Mm-hmm. But I think a big reason why it spiked up is it plays the Hoot Hoot Noctowl engine, and that engine itself, Rotom, it's just crazy. And how quickly and easily you can hit a Water Ogerpon on turn 2 going first. And there's no Manaphy in the format right now.
Right.
So I feel like the more decks we see with Dragapult, Goldango, with these low HP Pokemon, they can't play Manaphy anymore, even Guardy, to protect anything. So they can real easily get ahead on the prizes right there. It's at least a little experience. I play tested it a little bit, got my brother on the deck, and I thought about playing it before I went back to the Dawn. Mm-hmm. And I tell you how many
Honest,
times I always got the water ogre pawn turn one, easily, or turn two.
that's honestly what kind of steered me away from the Raging Bolt with the Hoot Hoot Knocked Owl engine, because um the times that I did play against Terrabox, my little Hoot Hoots were just getting annihilated turn one.
Yeah.
And when you commit to that as your setup, it completely disrails you. And then you're playing from behind the rest of the game. So that, I mean, I definitely agree that water ogre pawn is a problem in the current meta with so many small basic Pokemon in these stage 1 decks.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
hitting the bench for 120 is nuts.
Yeah. Is it 100 to the bench or 120?
120.
Is it 120?
It's 120 to the bench and 100 to the
100
active.
to the
Gotcha.
active.
Okay, I can remember flip.
And then it also has the Sob that retreat locks your so I mean, it's powerful. It's definitely powerful.
We putting it up there in S?
Yeah, I think so.
Above or behind Goldingo?
Behind Goldango, I think, personally.
Alrighty. Pick another one.
Let's talk about Raging Bolt.
There we go.
A.
Matt?
I think it's an A. I think it's got, into the Goldango matchup, like a 50-50. Terrabox, I think it has a decent matchup. You definitely want to play around Lily's Clefairy.
Yeah.
But as you saw, with the Cornerstone Ogre Pawn and even the Teal Mask Ogre Pawn and the Slitherwing, you have ample other, attacking threats outside of just the Raging Bolt.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And anything right now that can hit big numbers. I mean, I won't say big numbers, but we do have Dawn in the meadow right now.
Goldango.
You have Goldango. Yeah, you have Dragapults that. And Raging Bolt's always been that deck that has had no problem hitting those higher number. Charizard's still in the format. I think with this Bolt, well, go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say, I know it gets a bad rep of being very linear, and it is a very linear deck, but because it's linear, like, there's a lot of consistency to it, and I think that's what a lot of decks are lacking. And if you can be consistent and you can hit for infinite numbers, right, like, you're gonna have decent matchups across the board.
Right.
Definitely.
A tier it is. Sounds like a plan to me. What we got next?
Let's talk about Dragapult.
Dragapult. Do we still feel like, because a lot of people say this is one of the S tier decks, like this is one of the best decks in the format. How do we feel about Dragapult?
I still think it is. It struggles a little bit, but I still think it's up there.
Here's one thing that I think when I think of Dragapult, because Dragapult got real popular with Badoo being in the format. So is everybody still afraid of Badoo, or has people figured out a ways to play around the Badoo, kind of?
Yeah.
More supporters, I feel like, are being played in a lot of decks. Because sometimes, I know at least in the Dawn, I play a heavier. Sometimes a Badoo does mess me up, but sometimes, if you have a research in your hand, you can just continue. The Badoo's not stopping you.
Right.
But then you have Dragapult coming in with its damage spread that it's able to do. And putting that. We all know Dragapult can take multiple knockouts in a turn.
You can take 5 prizes in one turn if you want.
Matt,
I think it's an S tier. I think its ability to play from behind definitely gives it, makes it very strong, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I do think, Badoo is not as effective as maybe it was when it first came out, but I still think it still serves its purpose. it can still be disruptive, even if it's just for a turn. Sometimes that's all really Dragapult needs is that extra turn to get set up. Because once you get those multiple Drakloaks on the board and a Duskull or two down, it's hard to stop. And being a single prizer, I think makes it an easy, just disrupt maybe what you want to do for your opponent wants to do for a turn, help you set up, and then by the time you're past the Badoo, you're in a pretty good position, even if you're down a prize.
No, I completely agree.
All right, so
S
where
tier.
in S tier? That's the top of the list.
I think
Goldango
so.
still up high, or Terrorbox right now? What we got? We think Dragapult's still top of the best deck in format. That's what we're going to be if we're putting it at the top of it.
I think so.
As of right now, Matt?
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of play between, Terrabox and Dragapult to know, which one it swings in favor of. But to me, it's hard not to put Dragapult ahead just from my own personal experience.
Definitely. Yes, S tier it is. I want to talk about some of the new decks that we're seeing now. Let's talk about Enzorark.
Yeah.
It's the new VMAX. Is what they say. So
That's what you say. They say.
everybody says it. It's got the ability to copy an Ents Pokemon from the bench. So it's pretty strong. Where do we rank it?
I personally think it's B.
Yeah.
That's my thought on it. I don't think it's had enough time. It is nice if you can get it set up because right now, again, there's no... Kind of has the same thing of like with Terrorbox, which we did put that one high up too, but also that's a basic Pokemon that can do that. It can happen a lot quicker. There's no bench protection with Manaphy.
So it struggles.
So you can do the Ends Darmanitan attack to do the 90-90. Like, it's a pretty much Rating Greninja attack, and there's no bench barrier. But, unlike the Terrorbox deck, you can't really get that too successfully done. It's a lot more steps to get it done, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, if they're going turn 2, that Wellspring Ogerpon's going to demolish.
And then that's true.
That's why I would put
I see
it
what
in
you're
B as
saying.
well. It struggles.
Yeah, they can knock out a lot of your setting up Pokemon quicker than you can. How do you feel about that, Matt?
I mean, I kind of lean towards C tier, to be honest.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think it's that good. I definitely see what they're trying to do. I think anything that requires a lot of setup is going to struggle when, the meta is like your Terrabox, your Raging Bolts. I mean, the Dawn, I think, does well because it has its own energy acceleration. I think, Dragapult does well because it hits for 200 in the active and the damage spread. And that's something that the Ends deck's kind of missing, is that big attacker that can do a lot of damage to the active. So I don't know. My times that I've played against it, it's been an easy dub.
I agree. I like it, especially like it has the. It's almost one of those decks. Like, I agree where you say like it doesn't have a big attacker because it has the Rush Ram, but you have to have damage counters on yourself first. So you're pretty much waiting. And there's so much stuff, so much like Bolt and stuff and Goldango that takes those one-hit KOs. They're not putting damage counters on you.
Yeah.
They're just taking the knockout. So I'm down put it in C tier. We'll put it at the top of C tier. Going to put it above Walls.
Okay.
For now. I'm just going to throw this one out there because I see this on the list. So probably we can all agree. Ceruledge.
D.
D.
I'm not even putting it on the
And I'm just being nice, yeah. I don't see that getting much play at all. That's a horrible pick for this weekend. Don't bring that.
I just happen to see it over there. What else?
I will say that Ends deck is like a direct counter to
Oh,
Sarah
absolutely.
Ledge.
A
Oh,
hundred
absolutely.
percent. Yeah.
Wild pick here, Roaring Moon.
Low C.
Lucy.
Ooh, yeah, I'm kind of leaning a little higher personally. Either high C, low B. It's been getting some results. I mean, losing Dark Patch was big, but with Stada in the format and the poison package, it's still very strong. And the fact that you can frenzy gouging at any moment and knock anything out is pretty crazy.
It is. It is. And then with Maridon being at less popular,
Oh yeah.
they can't. You don't have to worry too much because that's one thing when you play Roaring Moon. Sometimes you put yourself down low. You got to worry about Iron Hands coming to you. But Maridon, I don't even think we have really in the tier list.
D.
It's yeah. So we cool with calling Roaring Moon B behind Guardy.
Yeah. I think so.
Sound good to you, Matt?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Just a few more on here. Let's get to the big boy himself,
Charizard?
the Don.
Oh. D.
Wow. Wow.
Now, realistically, probably like low B, high A. I mean,
I can get behind that. I can get
It's-
behind that.
it's not terrible, but it's not great either.
I'm comfortable around A tier.
Which version are we talking?
See, I'm not too familiar with the Poison Dawn.
Probably just in general.
Yeah, I would just say in general, like it can go any way because we could do that about Dragapult. We could do that about other decks as well. Or is there enough of difference to say they're two different? Because so what versions are we have? We have the Poison Dawn and then
Everything else?
just
Everything
everything else.
else,
Yeah,
right?
so that's such a drastic difference.
I personally think so because in my like if I'm playing Raging Bolt, my matchup against it becomes significantly harder because all they have to do is have the Bonnet and the Perilous Jungle, and they can one turn KO the Raging Bolt.
Gotcha. So what's the max
And-
numbers it hits?
300 with the Perilous Jungle, the Binding Mochi. Yeah, with those two things, it can hit 300.
And we do talk about how like hitting higher stuff. I just feel like it's which again I haven't played it any tested it myself. It seems very combo heavy,
Yeah.
and we talked about combo heavy decks kind of in this format feels a little slower. I feel like other Dawn lists are a little bit quicker to start swinging and putting. Do you like in your experience, Matt? Do you feel like it takes a little bit longer to get going, or is it just as fast?
I think it depends on the 60. When I've played against it, they have had no problem getting the jungle and the ancient booster and then the Brute Bonnet. I mean, Brute Bonnet's pretty easy because you have Nest Ball, Ultra Ball. Now, getting the Stadium and the Tool can be a little bit trickier because I think most lists are trying to just naturally draw into
Right.
them. But with a heavy Carmine and then Squawk, you can see a lot of cards on turn one. So I definitely feel, just because I had that personal experience with it recently, that it does significantly improve that matchup in favor of Dawn.
Okay, so how about if we split the Bolt and we put Poison Dawn at the top of A, Bolt, and then all other Dawns at the end? Because I think they both still deserve A tier. But we're
I'm cool with
giving
that.
we're giving Poison Dawn a slight advantage. Even though I'm not rocking it, I'm gonna have to prove everybody wrong.
Yeah, I just like the other big one is the Goldango matchup with the Brute Bonnet and the Binding Mochi. Like you can one hit KO a Goldango.
Right.
So it definitely fixes some of the awkward math that the Dawn has by itself.
Right, right.
which I know you can do with the black belt training as well, as an option. But yeah,
Agreed. All right. Any other ones on there you see? The what is the name of the deck?
What?
The future deck.
Future Hands? D.
Future Hands. D? Really?
That ain't good.
It's gotten some wins here.
3 turns. You have to peak acceleration for 3 turns before you can even do anything.
I don't think it's that slow.
2 turns, okay.
You have to at least use your first turn. You want to go second and it definitely peak. The only reason I think it got really good for a little bit is because of Badoo being in the format. In my eyes, the way I think, if you get him right on until you're active, you're charging up your Pokemon on the bench and you're knocking out that Badoo. Is the way I look at it. Because it does 40 damage, right? Yeah, so that's able to, for 1 energy, take care of Badoo.
It depends on how many Iron Crowns you have on the bench.
But the base of it, if you say if you don't.
The base is 40.
So, I got to go at least C.
Okay.
But I think with that deck, your strategy really is playing off the fact that you can charge up a Iron Hands in 1 turn, just like Miraidon, right?
Right.
With the electric generators, and if you don't, you have the peak acceleration as a backup plan. But you're really still trying to amp you very much turn 1 against, Dreepies, the Gimme Ghouls, the Fan Rotoms, the Hoot Hoots, and take 2 prizes immediately.
So does it play? Is it heavy lightning energy through all that?
Yeah, I think there's like 14.
Okay, so I didn't realize that.
Which is also why I think the deck is kind of bad, because any deck that has to play that many energies, like, you have the potential to draw into a hand that's 75% energy,
right?
Then your whole game's screwed.
So where we feel about it?
I don't think it's. You had a D.
I
said
did.
D. I said C.
Yeah, I think C is fair. I think it has some decent matchups in this meta for sure. I think it has a terrible matchup into Raging Bolt specifically. Maybe even. I don't know. I guess it depends on if you can get that ampy very much turn 1 against like a Goldango.
Right. Goldango or a Gimme Ghoul?
Well, against getting it on a Gimme Ghoul, but against the Goldango deck is what I meant.
Right.
So deck in general is like who gets the first 2 prizes generally wins.
Right.
So we got the C tier here. We have Ends and we have Wall right now in C. Where do we want to put Miraidon? Or Future Box?
I think it's better than Ends.
Top
I
of
don't
C?
know about Wall.
Well, right now we have Ends higher than Wall. Do we put Ends all the way at the bottom? Wall in the middle?
Yeah, probably.
And then Miraidon?
Future
Or
Hands.
Future Box? Last deck that I can think of, then if we're Charizard. Hadn't talked about you. Yeah, for real.
I would say low C. It's not as good as it used to be. You're losing Radiant Charizard, you're losing Rotom, you're losing Lumineon. You're losing all these things with it. How do you compete?
He's Charizard. He's big.
Thornton's gone.
You have Pidgeot.
I don't think it's good enough.
No.
I really don't.
Well, we're putting it C. We got to put it ahead of Future Box, right?
I don't think so. Honestly.
Matt, how you feel about the Lizard?
That's a tough one. I think C is probably appropriate. It's still better than I think a lot of people want to give it credit for, just because it has the ability to accelerate its own energy, and its damage, increases as you go down prizes. I still think it's an extremely strong deck, and it's 330 HP, and there's only so many Goldango, Raging Bolt. Nothing else is reaching that high to take a 1-hit KO on it. So, I think C is probably appropriate, but with less people really playing Badoo, I think the only deck that consistently is running Badoo at this point is Dragapult. I think it actually makes it a little better because people are still running the candy package.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to go high C? Yeah, get it, high C.
Yeah, sure.
Top of C? Does that sound good to you, Matt?
Sounds good to me.
Alrighty. I think that's our list. Any other decks we can think of? So right now we're going to see Polt, Dango, or Terrorbox win it, right? Because we're calling these S tiers.
I think so.
Nah, because Don's in A and I'm a win. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. No, I don't think any other decks are kind of prevalent for this
Matt?
at the moment.
I think the Bolt's gonna win one.
Any other list you can think of?
No.
Alrighty, that's our tier list done for
We'll see
Atlanta.
if it lives up to the hype.
We'll compare it, see how we did to the results.
Oh yeah.
Me and Matt are saying, an A tier deck's definitely, winning it, So.
We shall see. All right. We're moving on to the news. News.
That's right. What we got?
All right. So we have Prismatic Evolutions and 151 restocks coming in May.
Oh boy.
The bad news is it's only at GameStop.
Oh, rip. Ain't nobody getting that.
Yeah. So it's funny because GameStop, they're not, from now on, they're not doing any pre-orders on TCG products. You have to buy them in store from now on.
They want people camping out is what they want.
That's what they want. So the restocks are going to be Prismatic ETBs, the sticker pack, the binder collections, and then the Zapdos 151 collection box as far as 151 goes. We don't know if they're going to be coming to other stores, but GameStop for sure is going to have them May 10th.
Matt, you going to fight some people out of GameStop?
No, I'm not. I'm crazy enough to go sit there, but I'm not going to fight nobody.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't either.
I will say one thing that I appreciate about something our local GameStop has been doing, the one in Cartersville, is they're posting like a day or two before, like a piece of paper on the front door saying, upcoming drop, these are the products and these are how many that we're getting in.
Yeah, I see a lot of
I like that.
Yeah.
So that if you do show up and there's 15 people in line and it says they're only getting 5, like you don't have to waste your time.
Yeah, just go back to your car.
What next we got?
All right, there was a new Regirock EX revealed in The Glory of Team Rocket in English.
No, Glory Team Rocket's theirs. Destin Rivals.
Destin Rivals. Just kidding. So it's got 230 HP. It's got a first attack is for 1 colorless energy Regicharge. Attach up to 2 basic fighting energy cards from your discard pile to this Pokemon. And then it's got another attack Giant Rock for 3 colorless and 1 fighting. 140 plus damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is a stage 2 Pokemon, this attack does 140 more damage. So you're hitting a Goldango for sure.
Yeah. Stage 2 Pokemon. Oh, yeah. But how are we charging this sucker up?
I don't know.
Because there's not a lot of fighting type. Which, granted, you can use other energies.
You can.
230 HP. Is there a lot of fighting weakness in the format right now?
I don't think so.
I mean, I know
Honestly.
Fez is weak to fighting.
Pikachu.
Pikachu, yeah.
Yeah, any lightning Pokemon is usually weak to fighting. But Pikachu's got that where it ain't going to take any damage. Interesting card. We'll see if it's... I don't know. It's cool to get a Reggie EX. A big card for a Reggie.
It is cool.
And What next we got?
The next thing I got is, so there's a lot of other cards released, specifically Huntail, Gorbis, and Clamperl. Clamperl, yeah. I like the illustration rare on the Clamperl. Clamperl?
Clamperl.
But I don't think it's very good. During your opponent's 10 damage during your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 10 less damage from attacks.
Typical basic. What? So
we're just getting that for the illustration. We do have a Huntail here. Diver Catch. Whenever one of your water Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, you may put all basic water energy attached to that Pokemon into your hand instead of the discard pile.
Okay, so you can move energy back. Mm-hmm. And it's cool. This line. So Gorbis and Huntail both evolve from Clamperl.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't evolve like they. It's like a split evolution. You can evolve either way. So what does this Gorbis do?
It's got Crescendo Wave, 30 times damage. This attack does 30 damage for each water energy attached to this Pokemon. Before doing damage, you may attach any number of basic water Pokemon from your hand to this Pokemon. Okay. I see the vision.
Yeah, okay. We're going to throw this in with Artibax, Frigibax, or...
I mean, you could, honestly.
Yeah.
With the Chimpao.
Yeah. Chimpao ain't been anywhere here lately.
Nah, not at all. Let's see. We've got a few other cards that were revealed. We've got a Team Rocket Moltres EX, Crobat EX, and others. So the Team Rocket Moltres EX, Flame Screen, 110 damage. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon does 50 less damage. This Pokemon takes 50 less damage from attacks. And then Evil Burn, discard a Team Rocket energy from this Pokemon. If you do, discard your opponent's active Pokemon and all attached cards.
Okay. So an instant knockout, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
But do you take prize cards for that?
I'm curious because the way it says discarding, and I don't know if you actually do. So I was thinking about. Is that our dog in the background?
It is.
Okay, I was wondering if that was our dog. Because the fact that it says discard instead of like knock out your opponent's Pokemon, I don't think you do.
I don't think so either. That's crazy. So we got Team Rocket's Articuno here. Prevent all effects of your opponent's Pokemon's attacks done to your basic Team Rocket's Pokemon. And then Dark Frost for 60 plus damage if this Pokemon has Team Rocket energy attached. Team Rocket energy?
Yeah. It's a Team Rocket energy, something we talked about last week.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
It does 2 energies. I can't remember if it's one dark or one psychic, maybe.
Gotcha. It does 60 more damage on top of that. And then we've got Team Rocket's Zapdos, Jamming Wing for 30 damage. You may move an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon to one of their benched Pokemon. And then Bad Thunder, 60 plus damage. If this Pokemon has Team Rocket energy attached, it does 60 more damage. And I'm not going to go through every single one, but we've got Team Rocket's Coughing, Wheezing, Zubat, Golbat.
Read the Crobat.
At
least read the
Crobat EX. Bite About ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may put 2 damage counters on 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. And then Assassin's Return, 120 damage. You may put this Pokemon into your hand and discard all attached cards.
Okay.
And then we've got a Sneasel here. We've got a Team Rocket's Great Ball. Flip a coin of heads, search your deck for an Evolution Team's Rocket Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand. If Tails, search your deck for a basic Team Rocket's Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand. And then Venture Bomb, flip a coin. If heads, put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. If tails, put 2 damage counters on your active. And then Petrol? However you say that.
I'm going to go Petrol.
Search your deck for a trainer card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. And then Proton. If you go first, you may use this card during your first turn. Search your deck up to 3 basic Team Rocket's Pokemon. Reveal them and put them into your hand and shuffle your deck.
Ooh, I like that one.
I like that one too.
Yeah, anything that lets you break the rules and play it first turn.
Oh yeah.
It's always interesting. I like it. There's getting a lot of Team Rocket's like cards.
A lot.
So it feels like we could be in a format where there's just different versions of Team Rocket decks.
I think so too. This last news that I have is actually for the Nintendo Switch 2. They're releasing it in June. Legends ZA and Scarlet and Violet are getting upgrades. I didn't really look to see what those upgrades were, but the console's going to be $500.
If not more.
If
I've
not
heard,
more.
Like, there's going to be tariffs and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be able to upgrade, like, I've heard...
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
I've heard, like, say you have the old Scarlet and Violet on the Switch, on the regular Switch.
Yeah.
There'll be an upgrade. I'm sure there's going to be some cost, and you could play on the on the Switch 2 with obviously better graphics and stuff like that.
Yep.
I think it'd be no point to get Legend ZA on the Switch, the regular Switch.
Right.
I think if you're going to get that, just go ahead and get it for the new game. But maybe you can't afford that yet, and you want to play ZA, so you get it on the Switch, and then during Christmas time when the Switch 2 is on sale, then you get the Switch 2 and
transfer
upgrade it up to the higher graphics. That's cool that they're doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And they also said game share is going to be a feature, but I don't think that's... Oh, it's going to be compatible for Switch or Switch 2 games with friends and family, even if they don't own the game. So that's cool. I don't think they've ever done that.
I don't think so.
But, yeah, just throwing in a little Switch news in with that. But that's all the news we have for this week. Now we've reached Dalton's Pokemon Fun Facts. Oh my gosh.
You ready?
Matt, are you ready for this?
I guess.
Okay, so I thought this one has come across. I originally had something else, and then I found this one, and I thought it was interesting, something I never knew. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of based around, themed for a lot of this Team Rocket stuff we have coming out in Destined Rivals. I didn't know that there was a meaning for what Rocket stands for in the name Team Rocket.
Oh,
like it's an acronym.
Okay, what's the acronym?
And I did not know that. Matt, did you know that?
I had no clue.
Now, it doesn't make any sense to me. One part doesn't make sense, so we'll kind of like talk about that. But this is apparently what Rocket stands for in Team Rocket.
Okay.
Raid on the city, knock out Evil Tusk. Yep. Evil Tusk. I don't know what the Evil Tusk part is about.
It's got to be something with their story, right?
As much as I've played Pokemon, I don't know anything to do with Tusk with Team Rocket. Do you, Matt?
No. I was looking it up because I was curious, and it says like that part of it is the most debated fact, and some believe it might be a translation error.
It might be. That's a fair statement.
I just thought it was interesting.
But yeah, that's very interesting.
Raid on the city makes sense.
And
knock
also
out
confusing.
Evil Tusk is the one that kind of...
Yeah.
But apparently that's what it stands for.
Okay.
That's my fun fact. Ooh.
All right. We have now reached the card spotlight of the week. And Matt, we let you pick the card this week. What do you got for us?
I chose the Hydreigon EX from Surging Sparks.
Okay.
Any certain reason why, Matt? Not like I've seen you play this deck for a little bit, one of these homebrew decks.
Yeah, this is a deck I've played for a while. I still have it put together. It's a deck that I think has a lot of potential. Much like Dragapult is very comfortable playing from behind. So Hydreigon is a dark type Pokemon. It's a Terra, has 330 HP. Its first attack, Crashing Headbutt. Mm-hmm. It costs 1 dark and 1 colorless. It does 200 damage, and it mills 3 from your opponent. 3 of the 3 top cards of your opponent's deck. And then its second attack is Obsidian. Mm-hmm. For 1 psychic, 1 dark, 1 metal, and 1 colorless energy. It does 130 to the active, as well as 130 to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. When I was playing this deck, Manaphy was still prevalent in the meta, so it made that second attack Obsidian much more difficult. You know, I had to tech in like canceling Cologne, and a couple other things to just kind of play around the Manaphy. But now that there's no bench protection, getting that Obsidian and hitting for 130 to 3 Pokemon is pretty insane.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I say, you know, having a 4 energy attack is kind of rough, especially with 3 different energy types, but with Neo Upper Energy and Sparkling Crystal, and even Crispin, there are ways to power that attack up pretty well. I think, you know, there's still a lot of room for Hydreigon to be um, a really good deck in the meta.
Oh yeah.
Just nobody has really quite put that 60 together. You don't see a whole lot of results with it. Um, I think it did get in the top 30 of Stockholm.
Okay.
And then in the city leagues, most of the results are, you know, at least the last results are like 16th in Osaka, 11th at Fukui, 13th in Kanagawa. These are all going back to the end of March, so nothing like super recent. But it's a card that I like. I like the fact that it can hit for 200 and mill 3, so it has some disruption in it. Um, Being able to hit 3 Pokemon for 130, you know, I've on multiple occasions taken 6 prize turns, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Kind of deflating for your opponent, but fun if it's you doing the damage. So it's a card that I really hope as the meta evolves and post rotation that it can see some more play. I do think some of the disadvantages are, you know, it is a big stage 2 Pokemon, and it doesn't have the energy acceleration of a like a Charizard.
Right.
So it is a little bit slower, and it does have 330 HP, which helps. But in order to really do damage, it needs to double hit most of the Pokemon in this meta, right? Like you're gonna have to hit probably the first attack and the second attack on the Dawn, or the first attack twice against the Dawn. If you're playing against like a Goldango, you have to hit a Goldango with the first attack and the second attack, or the second attack twice.
Right.
So it's one of those where it has potential, but it's not quite there. And I'm kind of hoping that we see it blossom. Like for me, I played Dragapult when Dragapult first came out into the meta, and I like played it and played it and played it and played it, and I felt very strongly about it. And this is when Charizard was still really, really popular and still kind of the BDIF. And it had a terrible matchup into Charizard. And I ended up kind of giving up on Dragapult. And now look at it, right? It's
Right.
getting its day in the to shine. So I'm hoping that this is kind of the same thing that happens with Hydreigon, as it sees it come back as the meta shifts with, you know, Destined Rivals or whatever the future sets that come out.
Definitely. Maybe you'll be the first one to pilot it.
There you go. Take it to Atlanta.
I debated it recently of like maybe I'll give Hydreigon a spin, and I made it on TCG Live, where I modified what I already had on TCG Live, and I played a couple games, and I was like, this is awful.
I gotcha. Hopefully it'll get its time to shine. It's always cool to see cards that we kind of talk about, like getting a moment or whatnot. I know we had Surfer as a card spotlight by one of our guests, and it's been played in. There was some deck I was thinking about when you told me about your card spotlight. I was like, hey, it can happen.
It can happen.
Alrighty. Thank you for that, Matt.
All right, so let's talk about what we got going on this week.
That's right. who knows what we got going on this week?
We all do. We're going to the regionals.
That's right.
Atlanta Regionals is on Saturday, and we're going to take it home.
That's right.
I don't know what we're doing besides that, but...
Go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say, I would love to see, if it's not, someone in our group, just someone local, an Atlanta player I'd love to see take it home.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. We got a lot of good players around here. So it would be sick. But, it's going to be one of us from One Up, so,
There you go.
Anything else we're doing this week?
Not sure. I guess it depends on how we do at regionals.
That's true.
Oh, you mean before regionals?
Before, yeah. We got Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, we'll probably go play.
Gotcha, probably.
If not both days, one at least.
If not, we would like to get some testing done at least. We need to do some testing here, even at the house, or people want to get together, something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Matt, you got anywhere for sure you're going to be playing this week besides Atlanta?
No, I mean, they're doing their usual, I think, Wednesday, and I've heard rumblings about a Thursday night testing tournament, potentially at One Up. My kids are on spring break this week, so schedules are a little funky.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to be available for. At what time, I guess, is really the most important part of it, is whatever time they start, say Thursday night, I may not be available until later. So we'll have to wait and see what the schedule allows, but for sure I'm going to be grinding on Thursday night. If not, in person, it'll be on some TCG Live or something, just to get some extra practice in. I really, the main thing I want to focus on is, prize checking and getting through that whole deck check process.
Definitely.
Pretty well.
Absolutely. We'll talk about times lining up really well. Spring break for the kids right before the regional.
I know, that's crazy.
Yeah, we got kind of lucky, to be honest.
Heck yeah. Alrighty.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week's episode. Matt, thank you so much for joining us. We know you're on the social medias and you got your own podcast, so tell our listeners where they can find you at.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. It's just Matt Simon. And then, as Keisha said, I have a podcast I do with a longtime friend, just covering all things Atlanta sports, and that's the Players Ball Podcast. You can find us on YouTube or the Players Ball Pod on Instagram or TikTok.
Awesome.
Heck yeah.
And you can find us, the Pear Podcast, Pear like the fruit, on YouTube. We do these podcasts quite often, so give us a like, subscribe to Matt, like everything that he's doing, and yeah, that's all the time we have, so we'll see you later.
Alrighty.
Bye.